Hi everyone. Today we're very happy to have Stephen from Zenyum to share with us some ideas about startups and give some career advice to those who would like to join the industry. So hi Stephen.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Sure.
So my name is Stephen. I'm from Zenyum. By now we're probably one of the biggest invisible braces provider here in the region in Asia. We're about 300 staff strong across 9 markets such as Hong Kong, Japan, Taiwan, Singapore, etc. We started off in 2018 in Singapore, and shortly after I came to Hong Kong to start the Hong Kong market. We started off with providing access to clear aligner treatment for everyone across Asia with the kind of 3D printed technology. But shortly after, we also expanded into a portfolio of smile cosmetic products such as sonic toothbrushes, water flossers, and many more. Essentially, what we're trying to do here is take a very boring chore, like in oral care, and turn it into a ritual you smile about, kind of similar to your skincare routine, right? Yeah.
Okay, sure. So a lot of candidates are actually very interested in joining a startup, but they might not know how is it actually working in a startup. So can you tell us about it?
Yeah. So I get asked that quite often, right? And then I think first thing that comes to mind for most people in startup is it must be fast, right? And indeed, it is very fast, but it's also many things, especially for people that are looking to work in this space. We expect a certain level of self-drive, motivation, ability to problem solve, and most important of all is a sense of ownership, right? When you come into work in startup, because there's so many things going on, so ownership is quite important. And then from my perspective, I think there's a JD, right, of your role, what you're expected to do, but there's a lot of things outside of JD, your role that you get involved in, right? Because there's many projects going on. So that's quite exciting. Where it's a space where you can learn a lot at a very fast pace. And in my opinion, I always say the highs can be really high, right? You can achieve things that you would probably never thought of. But the lows can be quite low sometimes as well, right? And sometimes for an extended period of time. So through that time, how do you build that mental strength and resilience and being able to bounce back up is quite important. And why is startup so fast, right? And if you look at the space, typically startups are VC funded, right? So that's why there's that ambition to grow and gain market share and product market fit at a very fast pace. So if that's something a candidate likes, that's definitely something you get to experience within a startup. Yeah.
Yeah, very interesting in joining a startup. So we do see a lot of new startup joining the industry recent years. So, but how do you see the industry trend for the coming 5 to 10 years though?
Yeah, so it's interesting. I think the amount of startups starting or entering the space is very dependent on the kind of the money circulation in the market, like the funding these startups. So we're kind of going through a cycle right now, which I won't go too much into. But I think, fundamentally, why do startups exist? I think most startups start with a problem or gap in the market, problem trying to solve or a gap in the market. Now, I personally kind of look into two buckets, right? There's problems you want to solve for the future, and there's problems you want to solve for the now, right? Solving for the future could be anticipation of evolution of supply and demand in certain categories like food tech, sustainability, AI, deep tech, right? You kind of anticipate what's going to happen. And then there's problems you want to solve for the now, for the present. You look at inefficiencies in the market, you look at other business models, and you think about, is there a way I can do it better, right? And then there's everything, Web 2, between Web 2 and Web 3, right? So if you extrapolate that over the next 5-10 years, I think there's definitely going to be a shift more into Web 3, and we've already seen that in the last 1 to 2 years. So I think 10 years from now, we're going to see it's going to be very different from what we see today, in my opinion. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. So I believe you have interviewed a lot of candidates, and you have experienced recruiting a lot of candidates during the rapid expansion. Mm-hmm. So what are the key competencies that you are looking for when you interview someone?
Yeah, again, I typically break it down into a couple categories, right? First is skill set and culture fit, and then kind of the overall values. When it comes to skill set, we want to see if the candidate has the relevant skills from their previous experience, and how does that plug into our current business. Through that we can do some simple problem-solving assignments and really test the candidate's ability to interpret a situation and provide a solution or even a strategy. But then that kind of leads into my culture fit part, right? Because everyone can come up with a great idea or solution, right? But it comes down to execution, especially in the startup space. So when it comes down to execution, how is that candidate's personality in terms of, are they ambitious? Are they strong-minded? Do they like working with peers? Are they collaborative? Because there's a lot of that working in a startup. And then I think then it boils down to kind of also their values, right? Do they have grit? Do they have perseverance? So these kind of some of the competencies I will look for within a candidate. Yeah.
Yeah, okay, sure. So before it comes to an end, do you have some career advice for those who would like to join the startup industry?
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely a very interesting space. If there's someone that individual wants to accelerate their career, it's definitely a great space. Right? You get involved in so many things. You're kind of at the forefront of innovation. But then it comes at a cost, right? It's no easy feat. Again, there's a certain level of mental strength you need to go through. And there's many things involved, and it's always changing, very fast paced.
So thanks, Stephen. So it's pretty much everything about today. So I hope all of you have gained some insights about joining a startup, and hope to help you for a bit. So if you are interested in joining a startup and you would like to know more, so please feel free to reach out. See you.